In 2011, Marvel revealed that a number of the biggest minds, biggest heroes in the Marvel Universe were coming together to basically decide the hard decisions that the rest of the heroes couldn't face. They considered themselves the leaders, the big brains of the entire Marvel Universe. You had Tony Stark, Iron Man, Reed Richards, Professor X, Black Bolt, Namor, and Doctor Strange. This series, it's a limited series, but it has such profound implications to Brian Michael Bendis' run, and it was really, I'd call it the retcon Avengers, where they went and basically filled in a bunch of gaps that you didn't know existed. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, this is Perch. New Avengers Illuminati is the book, and they had basically teased that these six men came together to do a bunch of shenanigans. They sent the Hulk into space, which ultimately led to World War Hulk, and it was kind of a clever little plot device, which was that the secret meetings were taking place to try and solve some of the bigger problems that the other heroes either didn't want to solve or just was too complex for them, more delicate, more finite solutions. And when Jonathan Hickman came into New Avengers, he really took this whole concept and really ran with it. Brian Michael Bendis, who I think created it, or at least was heavily involved with Brian Reed, had basically was using it, I think, to fill in a bunch of gaps in Avengers history and do a little bit of retconning along the way, make it so that his storylines, I think, had a little bit more weight. In particular, and this issue really touches on Secret Invasion with the Skrulls and why that all came about. And so he goes and does that. And then Hickman takes it and makes it more of an into the world kind of, truly what level heroes go to. I've, of course, reviewed those books, but let's get into this one. Jim Cheung, the penciler, just doing a brilliant amount of work. He's teamed up with Mark Morales, and this is a great team for a book. I mean, it just looks beautiful all around. Everybody involved in this team for the visuals it's top notch. So the comic opens up many years ago, and this is after the Kree-Skrull War, and basically the Skrulls are kind of licking their wounds. They were paralyzed by a single human that basically ended this war and how this all came to be. And as the Emperor of the Skrulls is doing this, you must figure it out, and the scientists are trying to say, well, the mutants are growing thousand, the Earth is a real threat. As this whole dialogue is going on, suddenly in a teleportation wave comes the Illuminati: Namor, Reed, Tony, Charles, Black Bolt, and Doctor Strange. And so they basically tell him that, hey, we're here to tell you we will not tolerate another invasion of the Earth. If you approach it, we will come at you with manpower you cannot imagine. It's a threat. They're saying we're not going to have this go on again. And the Skrull leader is understandably doesn't want to hear any of this. And it is he's saying the Earth planet's ours, and Reed's saying, I'm telling you, it is not. It will never be. Do we understand each other? And it's clear there's going to be some war. So he says, the Skrull Empire says every single member of your species will die. Reed says, sorry for you to say that. Black Bolt, what do you have to say? And Black Bolt, does his scream bit and just blows the hell out of the entire ship. Doctor Strange has teleported the Avengers away to their little getaway ship, but everything has just been demolished. And Namor is looking down and like, ha ha ha, this is like, this one scene alone is probably worth the comic of just, the glee of Namor as he's watching this ship and the fire and everything and saying, hey, you see some real differences as a team. I really like, I give Bendis a lot of crap for writing all of his characters the same, and I think he falls into that habit very, very badly. But in this comic, Reed sounds like Reed. Namor sounds like Namor. Everybody sounds very, very authentic. And this is the Bendis that I think rose him to power because he's really has the characters down. So they think they've got away with it, but no, the Skrull Armada suddenly arrives. They thought they were cloaked, but they basically, their hubris, their arrogance cost them. The ship is just blown to bits. The heroes think they, trying to get away, salvage what they can, but they're just overwhelmed by the sheer might of all these ships. And I think it's their first lesson of their arrogance cost them. So things fade to black, and when they return, they're basically being tortured. Reed has been stretched to his limits, and they're testing their theories. Namor is being cooked. They put him in the microwave, keeping his moisture down. Black Bolt is they're experimenting on his vocal cords to try and understand. And you're hearing a lot about the scientists are talking about the Terrigen Mists and everything else, and so it's a nice walkthrough of some of the history. This comic, definitely not exactly an Avengers comic, but it is doing a good job of, bringing some continuity back to the table. They're investigating Charles Xavier, they're investigating the magicians, talking about opening up Stephen Strange, and then finally Iron Man. He's the one that they care the least about. They've taken him out of his armor. One of the Skrulls is like trying to wear his helmet, so that's fun. And they're basically suddenly Iron Man or Tony sees that he's being rescued by Thor and the Avengers. The Avengers come and they're here to rescue him, and but Tony knows immediately it's a trick. That he can tell it's not the real Avengers. The Skrulls are trying to manipulate him by pretending to be his teammates, and this gives Tony the opportunity to put in a sucker punch and overcome the Skrulls. He's worried, of course, and naked, that his heart can give out. So Tony goes running away and knows who he must free first, which is Charles. Charles is going to help him get to the others. He frees Namor, and slowly, one by one, they free the other members of the Illuminati. And you even see a really nice scene. This is perhaps somewhat out of character for Namor. He sees that Reed Richards is being experimented on, stretched, and he just loses his complete shit and just says monsters, and he blows up the room. And it's let's get out of here. So they grab a ship. They're going to escape, and they're flying away again. But once more, the Skrull Armada is coming at them. But this time, Doctor Strange knows what to do. He casts an illusion, and that is of Galactus, who, of course, the Skrulls have a deep fear of after Galactus ate one of their planets and caused great damage to them. So it allows them a chance to get away. The Avengers are licking their wounds. They know that they kind of screwed up. This wasn't the mission that they thought it was. And they know that the Skrulls will come. Tony says, it's not terrible. They'll know they'll get a real fight, and it will be a good fight. Reed knows this is going to cause troubles down the way. And our comic concludes with Skrull Emperor sitting amongst his rubble and saying, basically, did you get what you needed from them? Yes, it was worth it then. Tell the priests of the science to get to work. They know what to do. Tell them no matter how long it takes, I'll wait. Basically, the Skrulls got some of data, some of the DNA, some of the information about their powers and how they worked out of the heroes. This thus sets up Secret Invasion and kind of that big, which would be a bigger deal if Secret Invasion actually had more of an impact. That's one of the shames. This issue has a lot of great weight of a real bad mistake coming to pass, and yet Secret Invasion as an event kind of came and went. This is one of the follies, I think, of having too many events. Is the setup here was quite good, and I got to hand it to Bendis. He did a very good job. This series in general, again, it continues to be Jim Cheung, just amazing art, and just doing a pretty incredible job. This comic would go on in the second issue. They talk about the Infinity Gems, and you get a really good moment with Reed being tempted and how the gems are scattered to the various members of the Illuminati to safeguard and hold. We just get a lot of really good stuff here, including, and it takes us through different eras, past Civil War into the fact that the Skrulls have invaded and have basically taken over Elektra. That Black Bolt was one of them in disguise. This is a really good series, and so 5 issues, a very, very strong comic, and I think does a lot to flesh out. Now, some people have disliked this comic in particular. I think it was issue 3. They talked about the Beyonder and revealed that Beyonder is an Inhuman, and that bit of retcon was pretty lame. I have to say, it was not as good, and they kind of tease it later as not really, not maybe things aren't all what they seem. But that was the issue that I think seemed to really bug people. They did some really good things with the kind of female sidekicks, the relationships through all this. Really nice bit with Marvel Boys. So this is a good if you're an Avengers fan, I think this gives you a really good peek at parts of the Marvel Universe, and I like it. I think this was a really nice I needed this. I needed this little break between some of these relaunches that are pretty tough. But I think the Illuminati, if you haven't heard of it before, I think it's a really good piece of Marvel history. You get a lot out of it, and I recommend it completely. But what do you think? Did you like this issue? Did you like what they did with the characters? I do definitely dislike, as a general rule, retcons and kind of the you thought you knew, but you didn't know, and now we're going to rewrite some things. But overall, I think it's handled very well. I do like the take of the characters and the art, and it's a solid book as an Avengers book, I think. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe, introduce to a friend. I'm going through all the Avengers. It's got to be worth something, right? Let's get some subscriptions out of this because it's torture some of these days. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.